Welcome to Retirement Unlimited, the show where we talk about life's hard financial questions to help you make smart decisions with your money.
In this segment, we want to talk about good idea, bad idea. So
this one is a credit lock. So you see it at times on the commercials or on the radio, you got to lock down your credit. What are you going to do? So good idea, bad idea. Should you take steps to lock your credit? Now, we're in a little bit different positions here. I have 4 small children, and there's people that talk about
there's a lot of bills, in other words.
Yeah, a lot of bills. But you have to lock your kids' credit. You need to claim their credit score, claim their social security numbers, and lock it down so that nobody will commit fraud by filling out loan applications or things in their names. You hear this around. So everyone knows there's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian are kind of the 3 main credit reporting agencies. And we've talked about this before, but there's a process. If someone wanted to, you could go to each of these credit reporting agencies and lock your credit, basically saying don't issue any abilities to take loans. And is that a good idea?
Well, I guess my question is, I've never heard of a child, I'm sure it's been done, where somebody has stole the credit information from a child and created a credit transaction, where they borrowed money, bought a house, sold a car. I mean, whatever it is. I've never heard that. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I know that people take dead people and they take the information from dead people and create a whole credit history that way and do it.
Yeah, and that's probably the other option. So it could be someone who's passed away, but the most common that we hear, and I think that we have heard about, is someone who is retired. Right. Someone who's a little bit older, they lived their life, and they've bought their home, they've bought their rentals, they've done all the things they're going to do, and they say, should I just lock down my credit? Should I do it? So we've had some discussion of this, and without just jumping to it.
We've had some practical aspects to this too. Yeah. We've had some clients who have done this. In fact, years ago, I kind of advised people through an article that I read that you might want to consider locking down your credit.
Right.
And I had some clients do that. And what we found is that it's easy to lock it down. It's not so easy to unlock it.
Yeah.
And so the credit bureaus are not friendly when you go to unlock it, because they feel like you're maybe a fraud trying to unlock it. So it becomes a lot more difficult than what was initially indicated in the articles that I read.
Yeah. And part of this is if somebody has the passwords, the logins, the PIN numbers, all those things readily available, it's a process. They have a process for locking, they have a process for unlocking it. The issues come up what if you've moved 2 or 3 times since then?
Right.
What if what used to be in your safe ended up in a drawer and got in that one file? You remember that one file? It was in there. And now you're trying to recreate these pins and items.
I asked my wife for something here the other day. I said, now you have this large key. In other words, this large, numbers and letters and everything else that is the master code going into a certain thing. I said, do you know where that's at? And she looked at me, she said, I think I do.
Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is she didn't know exactly where it was at.
Right.
So we kind of searched for it and then put it into another place that she and I both agreed to.
So keep it. Yeah. So the item with these is if you lock it down, the nice part is no one else can open your credit, use your credit. The negative being if you ever need it in the future, refinance a house, take a loan because you'd like to, not because you necessarily have to, but you decide to. It can be difficult if you've lost that information. So some of the other items without just locking your credit, is every year you can go and check your credit. And that's a really advisable thing to do. Once a year, pull your credit scores. One, just know your score, but also
you can do that for free.
You can do it for free. You can, there's a number of websites that will facilitate that for you. And to look through it, not just the, is it good, is it bad, what's my number, but to look through the accounts that it says you have. And to review and make sure they're yours and dispute anything that is not accurate, that's not yours. Another one is credit monitoring. I mean, a number of people have been subject to hacks that a large retailer or a large bank will get hacked. And it's not necessarily that they took your money in that moment. They said they may have taken your contact information, sensitive personal information. And we had that a few years ago where a large retailer contacted us and said, your information may have been compromised. We're giving you a free year of credit monitoring. So either through LifeLock or other credit monitoring agencies.
And they would pay for it.
And they paid for that, yeah. And people can do that themselves. You can just hire. But basically those agencies, they check your credit just like that once a year, but they also can do monthly checks. They can watch for anything off the normal, applying for loans, things like that. And I think that clients have appreciated that, of using those services. It's usually a monthly fee, a monthly cost, but they would be alerted if there was any sort of loan application or things of that nature.
Yeah, I think for purchases, again, I go back to, I think I'm opposed to debit cards because debit cards are direct connection to your bank account. I don't have a debit card. Banks give them to me and I destroy them. I have credit cards because credit cards, you get a bill and you can look at you can look at a charge and you say, that's not mine, and you can dispute it. And we've had that happen. I'm sure many people that are watching or listening to us right now have had their credit card company call them and say, did you buy a refrigerator in Austin, Texas 2 hours ago? And you're saying, no, I didn't. So they close it down, lock it down. They send you a different credit card. They seem to be pretty good at monitoring that sort of thing. But again, I'm really opposed to debit cards. I think they cause a lot of problems, or can.
They can, yeah. The difference, like you said, the debit card is it's your money that left. And so you're waiting for someone to restore the money, whether it's Visa or whoever it may be, into your bank account. When it's a credit card, it's someone else's money that went out. And if the company catches it and it's fraud, often you are not responsible for the bill and they simply stop it. And there's no further discussion on the point. I mean, 5-10 years ago, I feel like credit card fraud was a really frustrating thing to go through. Over the last probably 5 years, I think we may have had our credit card compromised twice. And each time, just like you said, it was identified and we got a phone call that said, is this yours? No. New cards are in the mail. The cards are terminated as of the day and send things out. I was really impressed through the bank's process of just moving you forward. So that's another, I guess, level of protection, checking your credit score for larger items, but then also using things like a credit card where you can review the statements, as well as if there is a fraud issue, dealing it with it correctly through the credit card provider. Their algorithms are pretty good these days.
And again, I think and maybe I run my house a little bit different than most people do, but we do reconcile our checkbook every month. I mean, in fact, my wife does it on the 1st and the 15th, making sure that there's nothing there's no charges, there's nothing that's debited to our account that is not something that we've authorized and such as that. But it's important to stay on top of it, just to be current. I've talked to many people say, if my credit card balance or my checking account balance is within a certain dollar amount, I don't worry about it. I don't reconcile it. I kind of sign off on it and move on. I think that's dangerous. I think that it could be really dangerous. So
yeah, that's good. So I think overall, good idea, bad idea. I would say in most situations, probably a bad idea. I imagine there's a few folks in a few situations that locking their credit down could be really useful, especially if they keep all of the right information, to unlock it later.
Right. I think it's a certain false sense of security. I think it's better for you to monitor your financial life so that you're not just dependent on some entity to kind of protect you, so to speak, throw a blanket over you and take you. But you're also paying, that $20, $30, whatever it is per month. And I think in most cases, I don't think it's warranted.
Yeah. Yeah. And the child issue, and that's like a whole nother, I guess, layer on this of, do you want to lock down your kid's credit? I think it could be an interesting idea for some people, but again, keeping that, they're going to turn 16, they're going to turn 18. You're going to need those PIN numbers. You're going to need all those items. So if you were to decide to do that, keeping all that stuff.
I mean, a very wealthy family is probably going to be much more careful about watching their kids' credit than the vast majority of the people in America, so to speak.
Yep, that's right. Well, if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you can leave it on our website. You go to retirementunlimited.com, use the comments button, or you can give our office a call. It's 951-684-7011.